Finn.
Okay.
Good morning, Copers. Good morning, guys. How you doing? It is Thursday morning, August 20th, 2026. And we got a big show for you today. So we're going to get right into it. Mark Brahman and Richard Spencer published a new book a couple days ago called Myth to Power, I believe. And I haven't read it, but a lot of people are have been trashing it initially right out the gate. They're saying, basically, these guys say everything is like Jewish. All stories, I guess, are Jewish. I don't know. We'll go through. Keith Woods laid out a few examples right out the gate the day it was published. He said, some interesting claims. The villain in Spider-Man being an Osborn was obviously a reference to an obscure 19th century eugenicist. The Irish, I don't know how to pronounce this, Tuatha De Danann were Jewish because Danann resembles the Hebrew Dan. Marvel's Foggy Nelson is a Yahweh figure because Yahweh appears in clouds. I don't even know who Foggy Nelson is, dude. And I read a bunch of Marvel comics growing up. Wait, this is Daredevil's friend? I watched that show a little bit. What do you mean he appears in clouds? Is he like a superhero at some point? Who's that actor? What else is he in? Anyway. A possibly Semitic Han Solo. So here's an excerpt from the book. Additionally, when Luke loses his hand in The Empire Strikes Back, it seems not simply a metaphor of castration, but a deliberate deployment of the Hamsa or Tyr motif, where Aryans or non-Jewish competitors are demoted sexually or otherwise. There may appear a parallel metaphor here indicating Luke's defeat in a sexual competition with a possibly Semitic Han Solo for the hand of Princess Leia, who, like Apollo's Diana, conveniently turns out to be Luke's sister. And on it goes. Somebody, by the way, I said, gee, I should get these guys to explain the Bible to me, because they do a series where they break down the Bible and explain to you why the Bible is anti-racist or something like that, or the Bible is like a Jewish plot to get white people to miscegenate. I don't know. This guy said, in an old debate with your good buddy Jay Dyer, Brahman claimed that Jacob's flock, with its black, white, and spotted sheep, was a type preparing whites to be bred out of existence through a Jewish mass miscegenation operation. So, because Jacob's sheep are white with black spots, that's the Jews prepping white people mentally to get race mixed out of existence. Bit of a stretch, some might say. Some might say it's a bit of a stretch. Keith published his review. He says, Myth to Power represents Richard Spencer and Mark Brahman's elaborate conspiracy that Jews have directed human breeding through media from Sumer to Hollywood. Is that how you say it? Sumer? Unfortunately, almost nothing in it survives contact with basic standards of historical evidence. And I guess Keith has some kind of beef with Mark Brahman. I don't know, because he's been going in for 2 days. He posted this clip from a big tech stream.
Mark Brahman asked me to share this. What do you guys think of this? I'm sharing it.
Billions of years ago,
long before the existence of man and even our universe, there existed a species of aliens known as the Hypocrite.
A species of aliens known as the Hyperboreans? Hyperboreans? We're aliens now?
It was an incredible species that would create the entire universe, including all the planets and all the stars, and of course, mankind himself. Then one day, they encountered an adversary that would disrupt their seemingly omnipotent empire. An enemy of the most cunning and most lethal sort, becoming even more cunning, evolving into what we call the
Alright, based or
Reptiles,
cringe, guys?
a sinister shapeshifter able to conceal himself.
Based or cringe chat. So I guess this is, I think he made a comic book. He made a comic book, and this is just like an ad for his comic book. So, you know, whatever. I don't know. I used to read comics and it doesn't appeal to me, but none of this stuff appeals to me anymore. You know, I don't watch Marvel movies and stuff, but a lot of grown men do. I don't know who those people are. Are they potheads? Is that what it is? I feel like if I was 20 years old and smoking a lot of pot still, I'd be like, oh, this looks cool. I'd like to read this. LP vindicated on Fishback. Yeah, we're going to talk about Fishback. I mean, I don't think anybody actually thought he was going to win, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I don't like him. Anyway, we don't need to watch this whole video. Moving on. Crucible is now Polymarket. This is Andrew Wilson, is Polymarket posting now, because the Tyler Robinson convicted of homicide has skyrocketed up to 70%. So now he's doing the same thing that I did, where he's saying that this is because of the debate. Obviously, Andrew Wilson, won the debate because look at the effect on the Poly market. I don't know how serious he's being. I wasn't being serious when I posted it, as we've already previously discussed. Looks like Crucible got all his friends to vote in Poly market to sway the results. Well, you vote with your money, so it's not like it's free to do. He couldn't handle the pressure of the crash. Are these people real? The major dip was the debate day, and it didn't swing up until this was referenced as a yeah, that was me, by the way. Guilty. I'm the one who kicked off this whole discourse about Poly market being a meaningful metric. Something I'll point out. When I posted my tweet, somebody said, dude, please tell me you know how these work. It's a 280,000 market. A single no buy would move this 5 points. If anyone were to buy, say, 5K of no, space out multiple 5K buys over the next few days, then use the market move as proof to sucker gullible people. Somebody else is like, wow, he didn't respond or just ignoring the truth, dude. It was never serious. Now, something else. I went and looked at this today. Okay, so here's the Poly market. Here's the full thing. And by the way, it's down from 70%. It actually, weirdly, it never looks like it was even at 70%. As you can see here, it's never gone above 60%. Let me go back to that screenshot.
King Jewish sent $3. Hair's $3. Now do the cope twice daily. I need the cope. I kick my dog when I don't herald news and screaming at the chat.
Thank you for the $3. Why does this say 70%? But the actual Poly market never shows it going above 59%. Is this the real scandal? Did Andrew Wilson manufacture the screenshot to make the rise look more significant? I don't know, man. I'm looking at the actual Poly market here, and it seems to cap at 59%, and it's since dropped down to 51%. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but something I did want to point out. When we go back to the dip on August 14th, and I never did this, not that it would have stopped me, but that dip bottomed out at 7 a.m. And the debate started at 8 a.m. So that whole dip that I tweeted about and had a viral tweet, that happened before the debate went live. Just further proving the point that this is all just bullshit. And yeah, it looks like it was at 280 around the time. So it looks like there's been about 15K more put into it. Anyway, let me give you guys some financial advice. You should buy Yes
Gary
on this.
Americano sent $3 on Power Chat. The complaining, bald Jewish man with low T actually decided to show up today. Shocking. JK, love you, big guy.
Yeah, we know that's not the real Gary Americano because he's broke. Love that race mixing dono. Is that guy for real? Is that the guy? Yeah, the real Gary Americano would never send money. We've established that. Okay. This is not financial advice, by the way. That's a joke. And you shouldn't gamble. And also, I don't think you can even do this if you're American. Like, who is even buying these things? Indians? Canadians? Isn't it true that you can't use this if you're in America? Anyway, the reason I do think Yes is going to win this, and if I was going to bet, I would bet Yes. I mean, I'm anti-gambling on principle. Just because I take a sponsorship doesn't mean I actually endorse the product. Duh. It's an ad. It's just an ad. It's advertising. Here's why I think this is going to be. So, a couple things about this. He has to be convicted by July 31st, 2027. Now, the trial will not be complete. That's less than a year from now. The murder trial will not be complete. We don't have a date on where the murder trial starts. I wouldn't be surprised if it started after this date. I wouldn't be surprised if the start of the trial is more than a year away. But if he pleads guilty, then you win. It says here, if this case ends due to a plea agreement without an admission of guilt, so little asterisk there, he has to plead guilty. He can't take the chances that they would let him do a plea deal where he doesn't admit guilt is basically zero. So basically, will he plead guilty, yes or no? That's basically what this poly market is. And I would put it at about 75% chance based off of my gut, having followed the case. I would say about 75% chance he pleads guilty. The prosecution just filed their response to the brief. I didn't have it pulled up because I'm trying to get away from covering this actually. But they pointed out the same thing that people were saying when the defense published their brief about the probable cause, which is that the defense is not contesting any of the evidence. They're not contesting that Tyler Robinson was there. They're not contesting that he shot and killed Charlie Kirk. They're contesting that he wasn't trying to hurt anybody else, or that he was. They're contesting that he did reckless endangerment because all he wanted to do was kill Charlie. So I think Tyler Robinson is going to plead guilty unless the prosecution is like, no, we're not letting you get off the death penalty, which is very unlikely. It's, the prosecution, they just want the W. It would make me happy if Tyler Robinson asked for a deal where he pleads guilty in exchange for no death penalty and the prosecution was like, no, fuck you. That would actually make me happy. But the chances of that happening is less than 5%. Because they care about W's, not justice. So anyway, I think he will plead guilty, and I think the people who bet yes on this will win, but I'm not telling you to gamble, but that's just my prediction. New update in the Destiny lawsuit. We haven't talked about this in a while. It hasn't really been much movement, but Destiny, as you recall, is being sued for revenge porn, basically sharing pornographic films that he made with another Twitch streamer, which he then shared around without her consent. And those were eventually leaked onto the internet, disseminated for anybody who wants to watch. Not for nothing, there's also a video of Destiny sucking dick that you can watch if you're interested. I've seen it against my will on Twitter. I've seen that video against my will. And I don't know, I'm thinking about getting a lobotomy. Every time I think about that, I'm like, man, maybe a lobotomy is in order. Here's the update. Pixie, the Twitch streamer who is, did I inspect the dick to figure out if it was Nick Fuentes? That was like what people were saying at the time. There's a big meme or whatever psyop that it was Nick Fuentes. In the days following the leaks that led to the lawsuit, Destiny confided in someone that he knew he didn't have explicit or implied consent to send the video in question. He also failed to produce these messages in discovery. So a new filing from the plaintiff, that's Pixie. She's a Twitch streamer who had sex with Destiny on tape. The plaintiff has put a new filing alleging that there are messages that Destiny did not produce. Is she hot? Not particularly. Destiny's definitely had hotter. Destiny's wife was pretty hot. I don't know why you couldn't just be happy with that personally. His ex-wife now, of course. So they're saying Destiny did not produce these messages in discovery, which is like illegal, or I don't know about criminal, but it's not good for your lawsuit if you get caught hiding evidence. And also the content of the messages read as follows. Is Pixie, so this is from somebody else. This is an individual named Redacted who said, is Pixie okay? Have you spoken to her? I'm assuming she's okayed you sharing videos of her like that. And the defendant, that's Destiny, responds, oh no, LOL, I seriously doubt it. We took some vids, but didn't discuss it. I doubt she's okay with it. So he knows there's no consent to share these videos. And not only that, he knows that she would be upset that he shared the videos, and he's caught red-handed in these messages. This exchange is responsive to plaintiff's requests, bears directly on the issue of consent, and has never been produced. Defendant authored and possessed these communications at all relevant times. His failure to produce them cannot be characterized as inadvertent. Accordingly, plaintiff demand that defendant by August 10th produce both documents in native format with all associated metadata. So that's not good for Destiny. Seems like his destiny may be to write a big fat check. And some more updates on the what's this guy? Jason Arday? Is it what is his name? I'm totally blanking. Is it Jason? Arday. The fuck's his first name? It is Jason. Okay. There's a lot of finger pointing going on, and people are pointing the finger at everybody except the enablers. It's like everybody is getting blamed for this guy killing himself except the people who enabled him by not fact-checking his bullshit from day one, basically. So this is an article in the Canary. Guardian's Catherine Viner was warned our day was at risk, yet published anyway. Author Kolochio Kafar released a series of internal emails showing the Guardian knew how vulnerable our day was, yet ignored warnings. And we can look at the article here. The Guardian's editor, Catherine Viner, and its head of national news, Archie Bland, were warned in advance that late academic Jason Arday was endangered by its planned attack on him. Planned attack, by the way, when you report the news. When you dutifully report the true news about somebody being a fabulist, they like to call it. I just like liar. I'm just going to call it a liar. People like to say fabulist. I like liar personally, right? So when you report that a guy's a massive liar and he's been caught in a bunch of lies, as well as academic fraud and plagiarism, it's an attack if the guy's black. The pair was also warned that the Guardian's unfounded attacks on our day were at least potentially motivated by a personal grudge, and that running the story would breach the paper's own editorial code, right? So the personal grudge refers to Nathan Koffness, who's the one who broke the story on his Substack in a way which actually got attention. According to Nathan Koffness, it was an open secret at Cambridge. Everybody around this guy at Cambridge was like, holy man, this guy's like full of shit. But nobody would like do anything about it. So Nathan Koffness published a Substack going over it, showing that he plagiarized his PhD thesis, etc.
The Nutter sent $3 on Power Chat. Hey Jessica, I'm a little behind in the show. I saw you looking for me. Ask and you shall receive the Nut Man.
So here's, I guess, an email sent to the editor of The Guardian. Dear Miss Viner, I'm a friend of Professor Jason Arday. Chances that Jason Arday sent this himself from a sock puppet, greater than zero, knowing what kind of guy he was. Jason has been subjected to a smear campaign by the right-wing press with allegations instigated by a white supremacist. So that, again, that's Nathan Koffness. Now, Nathan Koffness, if you don't know, is a Jew. He's ethnically Jewish. So as a white supremacist, I find that offensive. But it's also ironic because you're saying this is a smear campaign instigated by a white supremacist. Well, calling somebody a white supremacist is one of the worst smears you can do. It shouldn't be, but it is. And it's arguably worse than like racist or Nazi. I was thinking about this morning. It's maybe the worst one in that vein that you can go to. It's like the most unacceptable, right? I was thinking like, I have that YouTube video called Why I'm a Racist, and it was like allowed on YouTube. It's actually fully monetized on YouTube. And I was thinking if I called the video Why I'm a White Supremacist, it probably would have got a hate speech strike. It's like just that one change. If I just changed the title to Why I'm a White Supremacist, it might just get a hate speech strike. Because that's like the worst thing you can be. You know, you're sort of tepidly allowed to acknowledge differences between groups as long as you do it in a not super inflammatory way. But what you can't do is say that white people are the superior race or anything like that. No matter how much you can rationalize it, no matter how much you can like defend that opinion, how rationally you can defend that opinion, you're just kind of not allowed. That's kind of like too far, you know? So anyway, Jason Koffness is Jewish. So probably not a white supremacist. Definitely would not consider himself. If you ask Jason Koffness, are you a white supremacist? He'll say no. So that's ironic that you're accusing him of smearing. You can imagine my disappointment when I learned the Guardian planned to get in on the act. I have already dropped a voice message to Joseph Harker yesterday expressing concern about the impact of this campaign on Jason. And I really fear for him should he be subjected to further persecution. The Guardian journalist pursuing this story, Lonray Bakari, may well have malicious motives as he and Jason fell out months ago in the course of Lonray attempting to write an article at the time. There's clearly ill feeling between the two individuals that raises questions about partiality. I fear the Guardian may be about to break its own editorial. Who wrote this email? They don't say, right? Dude, I would like put $10 on this being written by Jason Arday. It's the problem with like keeping stuff like this anonymous is like, how do I know the pathological liar didn't just send this email himself? Coffness had beef with Kevin McDonald. I don't know about that, but I believe it. Anyway, so you got that. Oh, dear Lester. So it's some guy named Lester. Sent by Lester, a friend of our day. Lester who? They don't tell you. So the email's just signed Lester?
Hello, I'm looking for Catherine Viner. That is Catherine Sophie Viner. Catherine, I've called your name 3 times. Editor-in-Chief of The Guardian. And I'm also looking for your colleague, Archie Bland.
Gabber sent $10 on Power Chat. $10 worth so little these days it can't even clear a Goislop combo with tax these days.
True. Very true. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Head of news at The Guardian. Why am I looking for you both? Because in the aftermath of Professor Jason Arday's death, when we're talking about press, media accountability, I'm going to need both of you to hold that. Why? I'm still looking for your peers, right? I'm still looking for them because whilst I'm not a professional journalist, I keep my boots to the what? The ground. And I keep my ear to the what? The streets. And I've stumbled across something.
Yeah, he's still alive. That'd be so funny. He faked his death.
Information that I think would be in the public interest to know that on the 31st of July, you were made privy to the fact that Jason Arday was not doing well with the media scrutiny and all of that, basically this smear campaign. And you essentially went, we're still going to publish what we want to publish anyway. This was before you published your first article on Jason Arday in this space of time we're talking about specifically. So you were emailed by someone called Lester, and he said the following: Dear Miss Viner,
Can Lester please come forward? Can we talk to Lester, please? Can we see a picture of this guy? Can we establish that he exists and is a real person?
I'm a friend of Professor Jason Arday.
Yeah, we don't need to hear the whole thing read again. 18,000 likes on this. Who is this? Kellen Chknikov, Mova of London. Okay. Anyway, so that happened. Now the real news though is Nathan Coffness being suspended from his university, and according to him, he believes he will be fired over this. He says, I was just suspended by Ghent University. They will almost certainly fire me. The decision was made by Rector Petra de Sutter, a former leader of the Green Party. This tweet's doing numbers, by the way. It's up to 3 milli. So again, I say shooting the messenger in my reply because that's what we're doing. So Nathan Coffness, all of his allegations that he made about Jason Arday have been completely vindicated. Jason Arday was a pathological liar and an academic fraud who never should have been given the appointment he was given. But because he killed himself, because he got caught and decided he was just going to kill himself, Now we're going to go after the people who expose the liar. And think about the messaging here. Like, think about what this says culturally about what we want. You know what I mean? So we don't want to call out people who are frauds, even if when we're right and they really are frauds, because they might kill themselves. So just let frauds go unmolested, uncontested. Let them just do their thing, because you never know who might kill themselves if you point it out. Of course, none of this would be taken as such a serious problem if the guy was like white or whatever, you know, if it was like a white guy. Here's a statement from his university. Over the past few days, Ghent University received so many inquiries following the death of Cambridge professor Jason Arday. We are aware of the questions and concerns surrounding this matter and understand that it has affected many people. We wish to clarify how the university is handling the situation. First and foremost, Ghent University is shocked by the death of Professor Arday. Our thoughts are with his family, friends, colleagues, and students. His death has also hit our own academic community hard. At the same time, we wish to be clear about the values we uphold as a university. Ghent University stands for respect and human dignity and opposes discrimination, hatred, and racism. There it is, right? Racism. The reason this is being treated like some egregious, thing is because Jason Arday was black. So if you criticize his fraudulent behavior, his pathological lying, it must be because you are racist. We attach great importance to academic freedom and to open academic debate, even when views are controversial. However, that freedom is not unlimited. It goes hand in hand with responsibility and may be restricted in order to protect the rights of others. For this reason, the university takes the recent public statements made by a postdoctoral researcher at Ghent University regarding this matter very seriously. So they're talking about Nathan Coffness. They don't name him, though. Ghent University has decided to take appropriate action within its powers and the applicable framework. We do not wish to preempt any potential decisions at this stage. In order to maintain objectivity, it is important to be transparent whilst also respecting the confidentiality inherent in a personnel file. The death of Professor Arday should prompt reflection. We hope that lessons will be learned from what has happened regarding the way we treat one another both within and outside the academic world, particularly when people become the subject of public controversy. Yeah, maybe we should reflect on like worshiping black people and just believing everything they say because they're black. Maybe that is worthy of reflection. They never do that though. They'll never cop to the fact that like this guy got away with more than he should have because he's black. We all know that's the case. We all know that people were less, that he was scrutinized less on his ridiculous claims because, you know, I saw somebody tweet this. They said something like, academia had a Jason Arday sized hole in it. So they found Jason Arday to fill the hole. Like they wanted somebody like that. They wanted a guy they could say, you know, look, the UK, we have our own Ibram Kendi. We have our own black scholar man who's respected academic. Which it's hilarious how rare that actually is. It's so, even when you're like searching high and low, it's so hard to find that you end up with a fraud. You end up with just like a total fraud who also has to talk about racism all the time to get where he is. The treatment of Coffness makes a mockery of the concept of academic freedom. Now listen to this. While at Ghent, Coffness was attacked with a thrown bottle which gave him a concussion. Thank you, Ragamuffin. Somebody threw a bottle at him and gave him a concussion. In response to this, the university did nothing, even though the perpetrator was identified and was a student at Ghent University and the incident was on video. The police also had the identity of the perpetrator, but there was no prosecution or anything else. How is that even real? How do you not get disciplined by the school if you're a student and you throw a bottle at your professor? Grok, is this real? Grok, did a student at Ghent University throw a bottle at Nathan Kaufness, giving him a concussion, and face no discipline from the university despite being identified and caught on video?
Yes, mostly. Nathan Kaufness, a researcher at Ghent University, was hit by a glass projectile thrown by a protester after a talk there in April. He got a concussion. The attacker was identified, but prosecutors declined to press charges, and the university's investigation was still ongoing weeks later, with no clear disciplinary outcome reported for the person involved. He described it as bottles being thrown at his face.
So you said mostly. Which part was I off on? That it wasn't necessarily a bottle? Is that what you meant?
The mostly was mainly about the exact object thrown. Right. Kaufness and...
Let's see the video. Let's not. I don't got time for that today. But okay, so that's crazy. So you can throw a bottle at your professor and give them a concussion and have no... If the student was disciplined, we don't know. By the sounds of it, there was no public record of what the investigation did. So, but you write a Substack article exposing an academic fraud, and that you get disciplined for. But it goes on. While Kaufness was at Cambridge, they conducted a 1.5 year long investigation and then exonerated him right before his contract was up, so that he was excluded for essentially his entire time there. So, I think he was at Cambridge for 3 years, but so half of the time there, he was under investigation for racism, basically. And they exonerated, right? So by the way, like, this is so telling, right? So you do papers on race realism. Everyone complains. They say this guy's a racist. The university goes through your papers with a fine-tooth comb, trying to find mistakes you made so they can make the racism label stick. And at the end of it, they're like, it all checks out, frankly. Frankly, the science all checks out. The scientific racism, which they love to call it. If you go to Nathan Kaufness Wikipedia, the second sentence, he is known for controversies surrounding his advocacy of scientific racism. Right. So they do a 1.5 year investigation on this guy, being like, man, is he a racist? Let's go through every paper he's ever done. And they're like, sorry, the scientific racism actually checks out. The maths. We checked the math and it all checks out. Sorry. And now he's been suspended by Ghent for the sin of publishing an article pointing out the obvious plagiarism in the work of Jason Arday. This video was published before Arday killed himself, but it just goes to show the way these people will go to bat for a black guy and just like deny.
You might have not heard who Jason Arday is. Jason is the youngest black professor in Cambridge's history, and to the surprise of literally no one, from the start, newspapers like The Telegraph and The Times have been calling him a diversity poster boy and just overall annoying him.
Right, and you couldn't be more vindicated than discovering that he's a fraud and a pathological liar. What if he's not a DEI hire? Why would he get hired despite being a fraud?
But now they're taking it a step further and they're trying to smear him with accusations of plagiarism. basically saying his work isn't his own and trying to discredit him. And it's really interesting because it doesn't matter that academic journals, universities, everybody that has looked into these claims has found no evidence of plagiarism whatsoever.
Just to be clear, it's worse. He did plagiarize a lot, but it's worse. He also falsified data. So when I say academic fraud, that's what I mean. He falsified data, which is like the most academically fraudulent thing you can do. You just make up data to get the result you want. Grok, did Jason Arday falsify data in his papers?
Yes. Jason Arday, the Cambridge professor whose name is sometimes rendered that way, has been accused of fabricating data in his research papers. Analyses, including one by the Times, found impossible numbers in his studies, such as gender breakdowns that added up to more than 100%, plus participant quotes that appear lifted and reworded from other researchers' work, rather than from real interviews he claimed to conduct. Some reports describe this as data fabrication or fraud beyond simple plagiarism.
Or just black math, maybe. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe he just can't count. Yeah, he reported a fake hate crime. Yes. There's so many things this guy did.
However, the newspapers do not care. And we have to talk about it. A baseless smear campaign against a distinguished black academic isn't just a personal attack. It's an attempt to shut down a black person who has a platform, and they keep doing this again and again. Again, just with Missing, just with Jason. And it's gotten to a point where we have to say, you know, we're not going to let them. We have to do something about this. But we know that these newspapers will only listen to public pressure, and we need to send them a message loud and clear. If you want to join us, comment Jason. We'll send you a link to your name to our open letter to stand in solidarity with Jason and to help us tell right-wing newspapers that, again, they can't say and do whatever they want.
All right, now this here is, I call Jason Arday's death a digital lynching. Yeah, that's right. So, it's so crazy, man. Like, he was full of shit. He was a liar. And then people were like, damn, look at all the lies this guy told. And then he kills himself. Digital lynching. Like, so what? You're not allowed to call people out? Nobody believes this. This is why I said nobody would be even trying to say this if the guy wasn't black. They would never use a term like digital lynching, right? But here is Simon Baron Cohen, world-leading autism expert, talking about why everybody is to blame for this guy's death except for the people who enabled him.
People with
or just Jason Arday himself. I don't know why we can't be like, Jason Arday chose to lie. He chose to plagiarize. He chose to commit fraud. He got caught, and then he chose to kill himself. I don't know why it has to be anybody else's fault whatsoever, but apparently it does.
Ones involved in this.
Branwen, thank you. Branwen Jeffries there, our education editor. Well, Professor Sir Simon Baron-Cohen, Cambridge professor, knew Jason Arday, and Professor Baron-Cohen, thank you for joining us. Now, I understand that you were in touch with him as recently as yesterday morning, hours before he died. Can you tell us what he was saying to you, how he seemed?
He really wasn't coping. I mean, as has just been described, he was being subjected to relentless scrutiny, including ridicule, discrediting absolutely every detail of his life, and he wasn't coping with the loss of his career, the loss of his reputation.
Right. If you missed the Jason Arday segment from earlier in the week, just a couple examples of his details of his life included him claiming a 12-year semi-professional soccer career, which never happened, and also professional snooker player with hundreds of thousands of dollars in winnings, which also never happened, and he claimed happened when he was like 10 years old before he could speak. Just as a couple like highlights of how crazy this guy's lies were.
And he felt he couldn't go on.
I mean, he actually sort of indicated, I mean, did he use those words, he couldn't go on?
Yeah, he used those words in voice notes. I was in touch with him through WhatsApp, through text messages and voice notes. You know, I mean, a lot's already been said, but if I can start by just saying I'm reeling from this awful news of his death. I'm assuming it was suicide, but I don't think the cause of death has been announced yet. I can't imagine the pain of his mother and his two brothers and his children.
Borat's cousin is... I was like, that name, Baron Cohen. Yeah. Who is this guy? Sir Simon Philip Baron Cohen, British clinical psychologist and professor at developmental psychology at the University of Cambridge. Dude, how embarrassing is it that you are the world's leading expert in autism and you can't tell that a guy is like faking his autism? Is he actually related? Is that in here anywhere? Married to... How did his wife die in 2016? Oh my God, he killed his wife. Dude, the true crime stuff, and we're going to get to Lindsay Clancy in a bit, but man, it's so crazy. It's so schizophrenic. You just make stuff up. You just like draw inferences that for no reason, right? Like, oh, this guy's wife died. Oh my God, he killed her.
Children and his partner, his friends, his teachers, his colleagues, what they're all going through. And I'm just, first of all, wanting to send my deepest sympathies to them. You know, he wasn't coping, as I said. I want to say that he was an incredibly kind...
That was his first mistake. Not coping.
And gentle and caring and generous man. But he's been portrayed in the media, both the traditional media and social media, in the last month as a plagiarist and a liar and a fraud. At the heart of all of this was a man who'd been diagnosed in childhood with disabilities that included autism and language delay and learning differences. So he was, by definition, I'm choosing my words carefully, he was a vulnerable child, a vulnerable teenager, and a vulnerable adult. So he needed and deserved safeguarding and support and reasonable adjustment every step.
It's very similar to the Lindsay Clancy discourse. It's all like, we didn't do enough for this guy. This guy who, like, we literally put him on a fucking pedestal, right? This guy who was full of shit, who just made up a bunch of stuff that is so insane that anybody who spent like 10 minutes of this guy probably should have figured out that he was a pathological liar. And what do? We put him on a pedestal. He got to go do media tours. He had a book deal, which apparently his book didn't sell like any copies, although he claimed he got like a $1.4 million advance. It's probably another one of his lies. Youngest black professor at Cambridge, like very prestigious position, probably paid very well. We didn't do enough to support. What were we supposed to do? Daily ball washing sessions? What did this guy need to feel supported? The media tour and the publicity and the constant glazing about what a genius black guy he was, that wasn't good enough.
The way.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah.
It's not the first academic in history whose credentials or work has been questioned, but this felt different, didn't it?
It did feel different. You know, he claimed he wasn't talking till 11 years old. I've been contacted this morning by his primary school friend, Mike Freeman, who was in Jason's class at primary school, confirmed that Jason was non-verbal at primary school. And there's another classmate from primary school who said the same thing. You know, Jason claimed he wasn't reading or writing till he was 18. You know, the media have challenged this. Perhaps Jason meant that he was struggling with literacy until
Right, because his lies contradicted each other. He would say that he couldn't read it or write until he was 18, but then he would also claim that he took these tests in high school that allowed him to get into or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. We covered it briefly earlier this week.
18, but this is a person with disability.
Yes, the GSCE exams. That's what it was.
Who was being asked to provide evidence of his disabilities. You know, he had, as has been said, he had lectureships in Durham and Glasgow.
How do you even graduate high school if you can't read or write until you're 18 years old? Surely you would be held back if that was true, right? What, like, isn't there, like, what grade would it be too far to, I feel like beyond 8th grade is probably, if you can't read and write, why would you ever get past 8th grade? Probably reasonably, it should be even early. It should be like 3rd grade. If you can't read and write in 3rd grade, let me ask Grok. Not that it matters, but I'm just curious now. Grok, what grade are most kids capable of reading and writing? Is it like 3rd grade? What grade?
Most kids can read and write simple sentences by the end of 1st grade, and they're solidly fluent by 3rd grade. 3rd grade is the big milestone. That's when reading shifts.
Right. My intuition once again on point. So you can't read and write, but somehow you're in grade 11 when you're 17 years old.
Before he was offered 2 professorships at Cambridge at the age of 37.
Yeah.
But after these allegations of plagiarism started circulating.
Yeah, my 5-year-old son is already can read a little bit because we do homeschooling.
The media just haven't left him alone.
Well, this is the difficult thing, isn't it? How do you investigate? You're saying that because he had a disability, he was a vulnerable adult, in your words. Does that mean that he should be beyond scrutiny when it comes to if allegations are raised? How do you balance the scrutiny of important public issues and their background and the veracity of what they've done with the vulnerabilities that you're discussing?
Yeah. So, you know...
anyway, I don't want to listen to another 4 minutes of this, but it's very telling, right? So they'll be like, oh, well, he claimed he couldn't talk. And look, I confirmed that with 2 of his classmates. And it's like, oh, well, case closed then, right? Like that's what you're supposed to say. That's what these guys want you to, and if you're a stupid woman, if you're a totally credulous, retarded woman like the one in the TikTok video we watched previously, that is what you'll do. You'll hear that, and then you'll go out and you'll say all the allegations were false. There was no plagiarism, there was no lies. Well, it's like, hold on, okay, so you found a couple schoolmates who said he didn't talk. What about his 12-year soccer career? Did you find his old teammates on his professional soccer team? Like, there's a lot more than just him claiming he was mute. A lot more. But they want to just like pick out one thing and cast like reasonable doubt on that. And then you're supposed to be like, oh, so Jason Arday was telling the truth about everything. Anyway, moving on. This guy like put out a public apology because I guess he had criticized Jason Arday publicly previous to the suicide.
I want to talk about my own role in the weeks preceding the death of Jason Arday and to apologise. I'm not going to speak about whether the journalism covering the story was merited or if there was a public interest in the media following the story. That was covered to some extent on last night's show, and you can find discussions about it elsewhere. There are a few things I want to say, though. First, it's beyond doubt that much of the deluge of coverage aimed at Jason Arday wasn't just racialised, but racist. That applies to the likes of Nathan Kofnas, who led with the story when the Times Higher Education supplement did not, as well as many voices on social media.
It'd be cool if Nathan Kofnas could sue all these people into oblivion.
But it also applies to titles like The Times and The Telegraph, who categorised Arday as a DEI poster boy.
Right.
It was for...
totally accurate. Couldn't be more spot on. Couldn't be more vindicated. Even if he wasn't a fraud and a liar. He didn't do anything of note. What made Jason Arday so great that was real? What was his real accomplishment that we're supposed to be impressed by? And I don't...
The Sneed Man sent $3 on Rumble. You should add this to the soundboard.
Okay. Thank you for the $3. I don't mean, and like getting appointed at Cambridge, that's an accomplishment, obviously, but that was based off of lies. What did he do that was real that would be worthy of that appointment where you could then say he's not DEI? You can't just be like, oh, they called him a DEI poster boy. That's outrageous. That's racist. You know, you wouldn't say that if he was white. Yeah, no shit, genius. White people don't get DEI appointments. No shit, Sherlock.
Atrocious, never-ending, compulsive. I've been in situations before where I felt helpless. People have tried to remove my own PhD from me. I've lost jobs because of coordinated political campaigns based on what I believe. But none of it comes remotely close to what Jason Arday endured. But Arday was also
I don't know who this guy is, so I don't know what he's talking about there. Aaron Bastani.
Firstly, because of his neurodivergence. Secondly, because of his state of mind in those final weeks of his life. A state of mind which was widely relayed to the media. Speaking personally, I lost sight of that second part, the vulnerability. After being told of his state of mind by someone I trust and admire, I said I'd stop talking about the story, which I did. But that doesn't excuse what I'd already done. Again, I won't touch on our reporting here nor seek to defend it, not least because I, personally, was guilty of something much, much worse. On the 7th of August on X, I referred to Arday as a con man. Now, I'm not the Times or Telegraph or the Sun newspaper, but I do have 180,000 followers on X. That's a decent number. And with that kind of following comes responsibility, not least because it's plausible Jason Arday himself saw that post. So what was the basis of it? What was the foundation of saying something so decisive and vicious and nasty?
A lifetime of lies, I'm guessing. a lifetime of demonstrably false claims on his part. Is that the basis?
It was a lecture he gave at UCL, where I studied, in 2021, posted to YouTube. Now, I've watched that lecture back. Imagine if someone watched a video of you or me on a bad day, or just a middling day, frankly. Maybe you were unprepared because of a family emergency, or you were unwell. Maybe you just had bad news, you had too much on your plate.
What are we doing here?
And they proceeded to impugn your character and your credentials on the basis of a single video to almost 200,000 people.
STD sent $5 on Power Chat. Another famous faker was Helen Keller. She was just a puppet for her caretaker's personal beliefs. She also had a dog she named Ah.
Yeah, a lot of people doubt the Helen Keller story.
Shift Demeanor sent $10 on Rumble. The UK is so F man.
Thank you, Sir Thomas Drake. Thank you, Shift Demeanor. Appreciate the support, guys. Well, people do this all the time. If you give a lecture or you do a debate or you record a video where you sound like a retard, people are going to criticize you. What is this? Oh, well, maybe he just got bad news. So what? We don't criticize anybody anymore because they might kill themselves. Now we can't even. Now we have to ignore retards too. So ignore liars, ignore frauds, and also if people say something that is like demonstrably stupid, do not correct them. They might kill themselves. What are we doing here? Hello, we're adults. It's time to put on our big boy pants and understand that if you're out there in the public space, as JF likes to say, the public space, then scrutiny is part of that.
Anonymous sent $3 on Power Chat. Dude, there is so be more room for things to get crazier out here, huh?
There is so much more room. Yeah, I would say so. It feels like everyone's going insane, man.
Sally M sent $5 on Power Chat. Another example of a recent black liberal pet intellectual was Dr. Ian Roberts, who was hired as superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools in Iowa. Turned out he was a illegal immigrant from Guyana, and everything about him was fraudulent.
Yes, we did cover that on the Cope. Not that I would have remembered him by name, but I remember that story. Thank you, Sally McCracker.
If that was me, I'd feel distressed. But if that happened while the media were undertaking an unprecedented excavation of everything I've ever said or done, I'd be despondent. Actually, I'll be honest, I don't know how I'd begin to feel. It's literally unimaginable. So naturally, after reflecting on that post in particular, I'm sorry.
If Jason Arday was somehow vindicated on everything, if he did no plagiarism, no fraud, and all his lies were not lies, this sort of thing would make sense. But it makes no sense in the context of this guy just got caught. Literally, he just got caught, and we're all supposed to feel bad for him because he killed himself after he got caught.
I apologize. That wasn't journalism. Journalism is when you seek the facts. It's a quest for the truth. You reach out to sources. You engage with diverse viewpoints. This was anything but. It was bile. It's everything I dislike about the modern media. It's why we started Navarra.
Sertomastrix sent $5 on Rumble. Sorry we killed your kid during his routine surgery. I was having a bad day.
Yeah, seriously. You know, I was thinking about the Lindsay Clancy thing this morning and like how, you know, there's like this ancient meme about women and accountability. There's that classic line from the movie, I think of a man and I take away reason and accountability. How do you write women so well? But you got men here. You got grown ass men like this guy doing the same thing, acting like like even grown men shouldn't be accountable for their decisions, whether that decision is to lie, to commit fraud, to kill yourself. We're going to blame everybody else for what you chose to do.
Now, it's important to add that I said that on my own X account, not on a show, not in a Navarro Media article. But I co-founded this thing, so I accept that for many, quite rightly, the two are interchangeable. Except an apology isn't enough, is it? I wish I could ask Jason.
You need to also kill yourself. It's called Harry Carey, my friend, and it's the honorable thing.
For his forgiveness for what I said, but I can't. What I can do is ask for the forgiveness of his friends, colleagues, and family. Now, they might not want to forgive me. That's their right. That's the point. Forgiveness is theirs to give, not mine to take. It's about them, not me. But when you've done something wrong, something gravely wrong.
This guy's a cuck feminist. That tracks. That makes sense. You know, he tried to mislead me with the whole I've been attacked for my views. And I thought, oh, really? Is this guy based? Is this guy some kind of based guy?
Which I did. You need to seek forgiveness. You need to reflect, learn, and ensure it's not repeated. Professionally, I erred, but ethically, and that's what I really...
I erred? What did you ear, mate? What'd you ear, governor? Professionally, I erred. Oh, I'm sorry, did you mean aired?
Care about. I really screwed up. I can't make amends, obviously, but I'm going to reflect on my behavior in all of this and how I can use my energies more productively. More productively to cover those issues our audience
Cat Respector
really
sent $5 on Power Chat.
Thank you, Cat Respector.
Care about those stories that really matter and on how I can make a difference for the better, not the worse.
Wow, what a good person. What a good human being. I'm so glad woke is over, by the way. Kunli Drupka had a really funny quote tweet on this. He says, scrolling X and post-wokishly cringing at old clips of woke that are coming up on my feed. Woke one was crazy, I post-wokishly say to myself. Suddenly my notifications blow up. It's the post-woke left post-wokishly trying to cancel me for post-woke comments I recently made. Fuck. I need to placate the post-woke mob before I get post-wokishly unpersoned. Post-wokishly jump in a cab and head to the studio to record a post-woke struggle session video where I post-wokishly apologize for my post-woke comments. Absolute banger tweet. And the story of this African singer getting her Hollywood star fame, I kind of wanted to segue into this from the Jason Arday thing because it's sort of similar, or at least I thought. I researched it a little bit more this morning. Now I'm not so sure, so I'll tell you what I mean by that. But Jared Taylor says African singer Angelique Kidjo gets her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She says, without us, no music would be possible on this planet, right? Without old Jigaboo Jackson tying a shoestring to a broomstick, music wouldn't exist. Very classic black wee-wuzzery. There'd be no music without black people. And so anyway, so she gets her Hollywood star Walk of Fame.
Je me sens un peu... je suis excitée, mais en même temps, j'ai un peu...
Cool language, by the way. Do you Africans come up with that on your own? Now, is it just me? Am I the only one who is like, who the fuck is Angelique Kidjo? Do you guys know this singer, this artist? Are you guys familiar with this Hollywood Walk of Fame performer? Because I was like, who? Literally who? What? So I wanted to look up her music out of curiosity. And so I searched her and it's like, this is what comes up. And it's like the first thing you notice is that it is like African as fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's like these thumbnails scream, I am African. Look at this is like a We Was Egyptians thing that they're doing here, like that Eddie Murphy music video. I mean, look at this. Everything about this woman is just like look at what she's wearing in this one, right? Immediately opens to the Sub-Sahara. So it's just like, I am African.
Add double Omega 52381 cent $9.99 on YouTube. That astronomer Neil deGrasse Tyson is also a DEI dummy. He took Pluto away to avenge slavery.
Is he actually the guy who got Pluto declassified as a planet? That's funny. I don't like. Anyway, do you guys want to hear some of the music? It's like there was a parody of this in what's that movie? NW Niggas with Hats. What was it called? What was that movie called? It was one of those hip hop parodies, and he's like, "I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all. I'm bliggity bliggity black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all. I'm black, y'all." It's like that. Like that was like a parody of this kind of thing. Yeah, and I'm black, and I'm black, and I'm black, y'all. Well, there wasn't Friday. What movie was that? It's not CB4 either. But it's like CB4. Or is it CB4? What movie is that? I thought it was like niggas with... Oh, this is CB4. My bad. Okay, so this is from CB4.
Black, y'all.
Whoops.
Hello, everybody.
Clicked on J-Wedge
I'm
by
currently...
accident.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black.
Is CB4 the niggas with hats? What is that? Is that a different... Fear of a Black Hat. This is the other movie I was thinking of, which is also very funny. Fear of a Black Hat. Okay. Anyway, do you want to hear her music? Okay, so that's her. This, by the way, this is her most popular song on YouTube. 9.4 million views, right? If I sort by popular, that's the number one. The number two has 3.7 million views. And so I was like, well, let me ask Grok about this, because that doesn't seem very famous to compared to like popular musicians. And I was like, I said, Angelique Kidjo gets Hollywood star. Compare her record sales, streaming numbers to bigger artists that don't have stars. Does Taylor Swift have one? Does Sabrina Carpenter? Taylor Swift does not have a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Neither does Sabrina Carpenter. Now, this person, Kidjo, has sold like 10 million albums. Or no, sorry, 4 million. One recent account puts her worldwide album sales at 4 million. Taylor Swift has sold like 270 million. So 4 million Hollywood Walk of Fame, 270 million no Hollywood star. However, I kept reading and there's a little more to it. In order to get a star, you have to be nominated, you have to agree to the nomination, and you have to pay $75,000, right? So I asked Grok to explain the process. Listen to this. Anyone can nominate someone, but the nominee for their management must agree in writing. So if you get nominated, your agent has to agree in writing that you want to be nominated. There's a small application fee, around $250 to $275. If the Walk of Fame committee selects them, a much larger sponsorship fee, currently about $75,000, is required. That money covers creating the star, installing it, permanence, and ongoing maintenance of the walk. Most importantly, living honorees must personally attend the public ceremony. This is non-negotiable. So I think it said Bruce Springsteen, for example, didn't get his because he didn't want to attend the ceremony. So it's, I was like pulling up this story in relation to Jason Aldean because on the surface it seems like another woman just being awarded for being black and being like, not just black, but like a black identarian. But it turns out she was willing to pay $75,000 for the star, and Taylor Swift probably doesn't give a shit. And that brings us to Lindsay Clancy. This has been a big story that a lot of people have been talking about, especially over the last few days if you've been on social media. So I'm sure most of you probably somewhat familiar. But Lindsay Clancy murdered her 3 children. She strangled them. These are them. These are the children that she murdered. It happened about 3 years ago, the murders. Ooh, Allison says email from lawyers, not good. Damn. We're not getting our fees. What the hell? So what? It looks like we're not getting our fees. Or I don't know what's going on here. My lawyer said, this is a crock of shit. We are filing an objection to the judge. It shouldn't be too expensive. Oh, God. And we hope the judge will disagree with the magistrate. Who the fuck is the magistrate? What has happened? I'm looking for like the attachment. Well, let me open this in Outlook. Here we go. Order denying motion. What is this? Hold on. Order denying motion. What is the full title? Why can't I move this? Valerie Figueredo, United States Magistrate Judge. Pending before the court, motion for attorney's fees. For the reasons set forth, Perry's motion is denied. Plaintiff is a limited liability company. And the owner by assignment of a registered copyright for a pornographic video, blah, blah, blah. Why was it denied? A district court may in its discretion award a reasonable attorney's fee to the prevailing party. The two key aspects are, I uploaded all the motions to Grok, and Grok was like, oh, I would definitely award fees in this case. Anyway, Perry is a prevailing party. The Fogarty factors do not support a discretionary award of attorney's fees. Despite his prevailing party status, a weighing of the relevant Fogarty factors do not favor a fee award. This litigation, looked at holistically and in light of the Copyright Act goals, does not favor an award of attorney fees, even though he is indisputably the prevailing party. So that's $40,000 I'm out of pocket, plus whatever the fucking, whatever they're going to charge me for the response, the appeal. Kind of just almost want to just write them and be like, just don't even bother. It's just going to be more money that I'm out of pocket at the end of this. Objective unreasonableness or frivolousness. Both factors are blah, blah, blah. It's whatever. It's boring legal stuff. That sucks. That really sucks. For me, I was really looking forward to that money. Guess I'm not getting the... Let me see if I can find my conversation with Grok. Problem is I talk so much to Grok. I have like 30 conversations a day with Grok. It's just like my go-to instead of Google now. Let me search. Here we go. So Grok explaining the Fogarty thing. See, I uploaded all the motions to Grok. Defendant Lyndon Perry should win the motion. The Second Circuit gives substantial weight to whether the losing party's position was clearly without merit or otherwise patently devoid of a legal or factual basis. The court's dismissal order found every relevant fair use factor either neutral or strongly favoring defendant. That is a rare and telling outcome. The court explicitly stated the fair use defense was apparent on the pleadings. That is a rare and telling outcome. Plaintiff's arguments to the contrary were thin. The claim was not a close call on fair use. It was dismissed on the pleadings because the transformative, newsworthy character of the use was obvious. Combined with the timing of corporate formation, registration, selective targeting of a critic. Oh, and then I asked again in expert mode, and it just gave the same answer. Anyway, so there's $40,000 I'm never going to see again. Bitch called you. No, Grok said that the plaintiff's arguments were thin. There's a chance I could get it. Well, they want to appeal. Then they're gonna charge me like $5,000 to write an appeal, and then maybe I'll get it. Dude, I'm so over this shit, man. Okay. So she killed these 3 kids. I saw a good tweet from somebody that said something like, if she had like strangled 3 puppies or 3 kittens, nobody would be supporting her. But because they are children, then it's okay. Then it's just like, you know, a woman. So women have been like on TikTok have gone insane. They raised like $1 million in a fundraiser. This is like a video that they made to like sell t-shirts to support. That's their thing. They say, I stand with Lindsay Clancy, the woman who murdered 3 kids. Why? Look, it's one thing to be like, postpartum is real. We should try to see what could have been done to prevent this. It's another thing to be like, I stand with the murderer and I don't want her to go to jail. I want women to murder their children with impunity. Of course, many of these women have murdered their children. That's the thing. They just did it in vitro. And they want to appease their own consciousness because they've done the same thing. That's really what it comes down to. If they're not guilty, then neither should Lindsay Clancy be. If Lindsay Clancy is guilty, then what does that say about them? Some guy called in on Saturday to talk about abortion, and he's like an atheist, and he was saying how like he supports it even if it's white people because they're like, you know, they're like the bottom of the barrel people who are going to be like a drain on society, he was saying. And I was thinking about that this morning as I was looking at this story, and I was like, I should have asked him like I should have tested him on that logic of like, so what if it's a 4-year-old kid? What if it's a poor single mom on welfare and food stamps and she wants to kill her 4-year-old child? Is it still good?
Judge Figueroa sent $3 on Power Chat. Sorry, Mr. Perry. I was having a bad day.
Yeah, thank you. You know what I mean? Because like that's like let's follow your logic through. Do you actually support killing children for the sake of not having to support the parents, or is it different when they're actually not in the womb? Is the truth that abortion has just been normalized so much that you don't think of it as killing? You know, and like maybe you're willing to bite the bullet and be like, yeah, I'd be okay with her killing her 4-year-old children. But most people are not going to think that that's a good position to take. Here they are outside the courtroom, her supporters. They all dress in pink. What did they say? And they're making the hand sign. Show a hug for Lindsay and for mental health.
I don't know if you'll ever have this many women in one place at one time who may understand all of us on a level that others don't. So.
Yeah, the SIDS thing, I've heard, I don't know, I haven't never looked into the SIDS, but I've seen people say that like it never happens when men are alone with their kids. Is that real, Grok? Grok, is it true that SIDS never happens when men are alone with their kids, that it's only women who are watching the kids and they die of SIDS?
No, that's not true. SIDS can happen under any caregiver. Data from large reviews of infant deaths show most supervisors are parents, and while mothers are the primary caregiver in the majority of cases, often around 80%, fathers and other caregivers are involved in a meaningful share of them too. The deaths track with sleep environment.
Okay. And here they are cheering for Lindsay Clancy's lawyer.
Thank you!
Yeah, like what percentage is caregivers? Like what percentage is actual dads? Because if it's like 10%, that seems kind of low, doesn't it? Anyway, I've never gone down that rabbit hole. This woman recorded herself crying and said, I'm not okay, but I have to be okay because I'm a mother and there's no other choice than to be okay. Era. Yeah. Yeah, it's called being an adult. Yes, welcome to adulthood. It's called, yes, you have responsibilities as an adult. And you can't just shirk them whenever you feel like. True. Somebody posted this hilarious quote tweet. Right, setting up the camera with like the influencer light and all that to get the perfect angle for your video of you crying on your couch. There's also these videos going around of women throwing ice. Have been going viral on Twitter yesterday. Now, I remember these videos from a while ago, so I'm not even sure if these are actually related or if people just pulled up old videos, but the videos are kind of insane either way. And we got a few TikToks pulled up here too. So this is what Lindsay arriving to court through a sea of pink.
Therapist, mother, maid, nymph, then a virgin, nurse, then a servant, just an appendage, lip to attendant, so that
86,000 likes on this one, by the way. 87,000 likes.
he never lifts a finger, 24/7 baby machine, so he can.
I stand with Lindsay. Whoops.
Just an appendage,
It's just the same song. I guess this is the theme song. EA, we didn't stand by SS. We stand for Lindsay. Who are these? Wait, Casey Anthony? We didn't stand by Casey. Casey Anthony killed her kid because she wanted to party. It was like unambiguous, like she wanted to go out and bang dudes and do cocaine. So she killed her kid because it was too much. Her kid was making it too hard for her to do that. And she was acquitted, wasn't she? Didn't she get away with it? I'd forget that whole story. Did Casey Anthony get away with it? Yeah, she got off. We didn't stand with her. She didn't even go to jail. Casey Anthony, who was acquitted in 2011 of the first-degree murder of her 2-year-old daughter. The 2008 disappearance and subsequent high-profile trial sparked a massive national media frenzy.
Anonymous sent $3. Bitches out here be crazy, my knee get.
Thank you. Anyway, I don't have time to relitigate the whole Casey Anthony thing, but she definitely did it.
So I need all of my queens across the nation that have battled postpartum depression, any type of depression, and stand with Lindsay Clancy. Tomorrow we will be wearing pink. We will come together. I need y'all to drop in the comments where you checking in from. I want to see y'all pictures tomorrow with y'all pink on, because we are standing with Lindsay Clancy. Lindsay Clancy not only was a woman, but she was a mother. Not only just a mother, but she was somebody's daughter. And she was failed by many systems. She was failed by the medical system. She was failed by law enforcement. So Lindsay Clancy could have been your sister. Lindsay Clancy could have been your auntie. Lindsay Clancy could have been your daughter. I stand with Lindsay Clancy. I stand with Lindsay Clancy. So I need all of my queens all over the world. Any of you, all of you, let's come together and show them with the girl power.
Did she say Lindsay Clancy could have been your mother? I mean, thank fuck. That's not that. Like, is it? I don't think that hits the way you wanted it to hit. Lindsay Clancy could have been your mother. Yeah, thank God. Thank God that's not the case. My mom let me live. I had a different mom, and mine let me live. So I'm kind of glad my mom wasn't Lindsay Clancy.
Oknaguk sent $5 on Rumble. Oh, now they can wear pink.
I don't really follow. Is that like a gender neutral thing? Lisa Rena, who's an actress. I didn't know who she was. I had to look it up, but she was in Days of Our Lives and Melrose Place. She says that the husband killed the children, and this is like a big conspiracy theory that a lot of people were pushing, including Village Crazy Lady on X, who is a big Charlie Kirk truther. And you notice something, which is that you look at these cases and you just decide certain things are weird, and then you construct a conspiracy around that. So there's a huge conspiracy theory that the husband, this guy, actually murdered the children and framed the woman, even though she admits to it, the defense team admits to it, all the evidence points that way, et cetera, et cetera. You know, when I was asking Owen Benjamin if he would accept a guilty plea from Tyler Robinson as proof that Tyler did it, this woman said that she wouldn't accept it. And then she said, BK pleaded guilty, but he's innocent. And I had to figure out who she meant by that. She meant Brian Kohnberger, or whatever his name is, Brian Kohnbergerstein, the Idaho serial killer who murdered 4 people. There's a whole conspiracy theory around that where people think who is Jewish, for the record, they think he's innocent, and they're trying to get him out of jail because they think and if the guy's like a psycho. Anyway.
Chit chat. All right, he did it. Patrick did it. Patrick's the one who did it. Not Lindsay. Patrick did it because, I also heard that women typically don't strangle. So awful to even say, but that isn't what a woman would do. They don't strangle. I was actually in therapy today, and my therapist and I were talking about it, and I said, well, what do they do? She said, well, they poison, or I said, oh, or drown them. We literally had that conversation today. And she looks at me and she goes, he did it. I was like, wow, yeah. And now, yeah.
That's all it takes. If you're a woman, that's all it takes. Hey, women don't strangle. That's something men do. Whoa. You just blew the whole case wide open. If you're a retard, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. You say, does that really make sense to you? And then they're like, no, it doesn't make sense. Now I'm going to jump. I'm going to reach. I'm going to reach through 13 hoops to a totally far gone conclusion because something doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Chit chat.
It is. It's true crime. It's the whole thing. I was watching Nick a couple nights ago, Tuesday. It was his birthday. He made $50,000 in super chats. It was crazy. I mean, I didn't actually count it, but there was multiple $5,000 super chats for Nick on his birthday. It was crazy. But somebody super chatted him and was like, I believe Candace Owens, and you're calling us stupid. You're insulting your own fans when you call us stupid. And Nick goes on, and it was so funny. He's like, yes, you are stupid. You're a woman. You need to go watch true crime podcasts with your girlfriend or your wife and your wife's boyfriend or whatever. It's like that. That's so real. It's just it's like a soap opera. That's what it is. He was saying that. And then I go on Twitter and I see Baron Coleman, who is one of these Charlie Kirk podcasters, or it's just like a clip from him. He's doing his show and he gets a text message from like Candace Owens that there's like a American spy plane flying over his house while he's doing his podcast. And he's like, oh my God, this is alarming. Wow, I'm freaking out. And it's like, it's retarded, man. Yeah. They flew a spy plane over your house while you're doing your podcast so they could eavesdrop on your podcast. That makes sense. Anyway. But it's like people are just so retarded. There was another thing about people were tweeting about how Andrew Wilson went to Candace Owens' house to plant bugs and shit like that. And that was why he paid $300,000, is because it was worth it to TPUSA and Mossad to plant bugs in Candace Owens' house. And Andrew Wilson didn't want to do it at her house, though. He wanted to do it virtually so he could smoke. He was like, why don't we just do it, call in? And Candace was like, no, it's got to be in person. And then Joe Rogan offered, and Andrew Wilson was like, oh, let's go do it on Joe Rogan, biggest podcast in the world. And Candace said no to that. So Candace basically insisted it was at her house. And somehow that's a conspiracy theory. Anyway, sorry. I really try to not talk about it, but it's just like so stupid. Shoe on Head points out some stuff I didn't know about the Lindsay Clancy thing. Now, this is interesting because the whole conversation is like, oh, we don't support people enough, right? Jason Arday, Lindsay Clancy, these poor people who were just left on their own through these horrible situations, like, being a mother to children. Shoe says, she had more help than most women in worse situations than her. Her husband took paternity leave. They had nannies. She checked herself into a healthcare facility, etc. I've never seen so many excuses for a murderer in my life. Many people who murder are mentally ill. She was sane enough to plan it all out. And the psychosis magically stopped after she killed them. Most of these women defending her believe the husband did it because they replaced daytime soap opera with TikTok true crime. They're demented. And then she's asking Michael Tracy, why is he running soft defense for it? Because he's gay. Pericles says it's very dangerous that women are seeing a woman get an outpouring of support and positivity for murdering her kids. We may need to shut down TikTok to protect children from their mothers, right? And this is, where do you think Munchausen by proxy comes from? Like, this is actually legitimate concern. As this guy points out, legitimate concern. And then he posts this tweet. In the ancient Greek city of Miletus, there was a high-profile suicide by a young woman, and because depression and suicide are psychogenic illnesses, some other Milesian maiden saw the attention she got and committed suicide herself, and pretty soon they had a suicide epidemic. How did it end, you ask? Well, they tried everything, but the young women affected by this epidemic of madness seemed immune to reason. And then the leader of the city decreed that the next suicide would be stripped naked and left hanging in the city center to be leered at and then rot. How humiliating, you say. How cruel, how inhumane. But that was the last suicide in Miletus. I don't know if that's a true story, but I'm just going to assume it is. And then segue into this story about this woman here. Influencer, let me pause this video. Influencer Melissa Campanos detained. She recorded herself burning her kitchen and pouring hot wax on her daughters. Her husband demanded custody, but they always ignored him. Big win for feminism. So this happened recently. This is like, by the way, can I get back? No, I did the thing where I lost the other video. Anyway.
Detienen a influencer.
So are women acting out psychosis now to imitate Lindsay Clancy and get attention?
Cubana Melissa Campos Sánchez. Se grabó quemando su cocina y vertiendo cera caliente en sus hijas. Su esposo la denunció, previamente por comportamientos indebidos en sus redes y con sus hijas.
Dude, I feel gross watching this.
No fue hasta que ella misma se grabó que las autoridades hicieron algo.
Disgusting. Disgusting whore.
Grande el feminismo.
Women need to have all their rights taken away. Anyway, it goes on and she's like pouring wax on her children here. It's blurred out. You get the idea. Florida mom arrested after videos show her pouring hot wax on daughters and setting kitchen fire. She was arrested on arson, child abuse, and child neglect charges after a fire at her Miami home. Authorities say her 2 young daughters were inside the home at the time of the fire. So there you go. Q also told investigators about an earlier incident in which he said Campos Sanchez had attempted suicide. He had contacted the sheriff's order during the previous week because of concerns involving their children. You know, so they always say like, oh, these women should have got more support. And then it's like the authorities were contacted a lot of the time being like, this woman's losing her mind and she has kids. Can you do anything? Investigators spoke with her eldest daughter, who told investigators that she and her younger sister were in the laundry room next to the kitchen after lunch when they saw their mother set fire to clothing on the kitchen floor and throw a glass mug onto the floor while dancing. And this brings us to like kind of our final story of the day, which is the primaries. James Fishback did not win the primary for governor of Florida. Dan Balzerian did not win his primary against Randy Fine. Now, I saw, so Nick likes Fishback, which I don't get. But I did watch, like I said, I watched a bit of his show on Tuesday where he talked about this. And he was saying that Fishback sort of like showed a playbook for how to run a campaign which will mobilize young white men. And I don't know about that, man. From my perspective, has always been that Fishback is what I would call a social media candidate. Same as that other guy that Nick shat on. What was his name? Anyway, that they run these campaigns and they get a bunch of attention and then they just segue into a podcast or whatever. And you can just kind of tell. You can just kind of tell by like how much they're focused on social media through their campaign versus actual campaigning. And Matt Forney claims that he Casey Pooch, that's who. Matt Forney claims that he talked to somebody from the campaign. A campaign volunteer for James Fishback has come forward to reveal some of the chaos and incompetence that led Fishback to lose in an embarrassing landslide. According to the volunteer, after joining the campaign, he was told that the volunteers would not be doing any door knocking. Instead, we were to focus on spreading the word via social media instead. The ex-volunteer also said that they never got any further instructions other than to talk about Fishback in local county city groups. Now, this is anonymous, take it with a grain of salt, but it does track with my impression of Fishback. And for me, when it came out that he was buying likes on his tweets, that like confirmed to me my suspicions about Fishback. And if you missed that story, we covered it, but it was it was discovery in a lawsuit from Fishback's phone. So it's not like alleged, it's not speculation. James Fishback was purchasing Twitter likes on his tweets, right? Which is just like inauthentic, which is what the guy screamed to me from day one, not a real guy. Dan Bilzerian, on the other hand, seems authentic. I don't think he ran a good campaign. Probably I would say James Fishback ran a better campaign than Dan Bilzerian did. And Dan made a huge mistake of deciding he was going to go to war with Nick Fuentes, which is like, you're running as a far-right candidate, and then you're going to try to cancel the biggest far-right pundit while you're doing that. Really bad move. And, Nick doesn't like Dan. Nick was fine with Dan until Dan attacked Nick, which he did over the Casey Poosh comments. And just Dan should not have done that. That was stupid. And I don't think he would have won either way, but he would have done better. He hurt his own campaign chances by doing that. But I like Dan more than Fishback. Dan is an authentic dude, I think. I know people say he's like a scammer and this and that, and I'm not saying he's like the most trustworthy guy who ever lived, but he is authentic. He's an authentic anti-Semite. Let me put it that way. He's not pretending to be anti-Semitic for social media clout. Dan Bilzerian doesn't like Jews. James Fishback just sort of intimates things in order to appeal to based young white guys, but I don't think really means it. Anyway, the ex-volunteer also revealed that Fishback had a revolving door on personnel. The lead volunteer for the county, who was responsible for relaying info from the campaign to us on the ground, quit because he saw Fishback for who he was, a grifter. I quit along with him as I'd seen enough myself. The volunteer also revealed that Fishback's campaign constantly squandered volunteer resources. Shortly after joining, the leader asked volunteers if they could make icons for county-specific campaign social media pages. The volunteer's spouse spent a day making an icon only for the Fishback campaign to use it for only a week on dead accounts and then remove it. The volunteer provided the icon to me as proof of the story. The picture that emerging is that Fishback was never serious about becoming governor and ran for office solely to enrich himself. It's unfortunate that he abused the trust. And Richard Spencer posted this. He said, this is the embedded version, but he said, the world you grew up in no longer exists. And it's an old Jubilee clip of Fishback debating destiny. Hitler. Somebody tell me how tall was Hitler? The Jews probably lied about him being short. They probably cooked the history books. 8.5 to 5.9. I'd make an exception for Hitler. I think this is about the polling. Yeah, so this polling guy, they had a poll where they said Fishback was at 90%. This tweet was them apologizing for getting it wrong. Don't quote me on 90%. Fishback was doing very good in the polls. Maybe not 90%. The Public Sentiment Institute joined January 2026. And then he deleted this tweet that's getting quote tweeted, but he got called out for being brutally wrong.
The Public Sentiment Institute was obviously putting out fake polls. He's either a fraud or a complete dumbass. Rape him. HBD.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I'm sorry. Seems like a nice guy, but that was ridiculous. It was totally absurd and totally ridiculous. And yeah, like whatever that person was doing, we just need to stop. He's saying, we invented a revolutionary new way of doing polling and our polls are right. It's like, you're full of shit. Like, no, all your polls were wrong. You're conducting...
Mr. Bliss Chilling sent $3 on Power Chat. H-Man was a shower, not a grower.
Ayo.
Online surveys, none of it was correct. Like, that was just embarrassing.
That's good.
Sorry. Going out there and posting polls saying, we're in the lead, and then you get 10%. We can't be doing that, okay? That's not helping.
And then, okay, Nick Fuentes is catching a lot of flack for this clip because people are saying he doesn't understand per capita. Nick Fuentes debunks the cope that Dan Bilzerian outperformed Fishback. Dan Bilzerian, don't quote me on the exact numbers, but I think Fishback got 10% of the vote and Bilzerian got like 18%. Don't quote me on that.
Bilzerian is a total clown, but he did finish with a higher percent of the vote than Fishback. Feels like some reflection is needed there too.
Yeah, not really. Not really when you consider that Fishback was running statewide.
No, but yes, really.
Which is a little different. So in total, Fishback got 170,000 plus votes. I think Dan Bilzerian got like 10,000 votes or something. So, no. And he was in a much less crowded field and had more money than anybody else. Dan Bilzerian had more money than any other candidate besides, what's his name?
Randy Fine.
Randy Fine. And probably more name recognition. That's the difference. Dan had more name recognition, more money, was in a smaller field.
I haven't seen
And Randy
GTA
Fine is also
leaks.
particularly bad. He's, like I said, he's not a popular guy. Whereas Byron Donalds is.
Twizzy sent $20. My first
Yeah, I don't know, man. Dan Bilzerian getting 18% when he's running as like a virulent anti-Semite in Florida, by the way, like one of the most Jewish states in America, other than like New York City. Florida is like known for being Jewish, probably second only to New York City. And he gets 18% of the votes running as like a Holocaust denier. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of not too shabby. Also, guy didn't really campaign. Guy didn't even like really campaign. What if we could take the anti-Semitism of Dan Bilzerian, the far right anti-Semitism, but have it be a guy who is strategic and hardworking and run a good campaign? What could we accomplish then? If Dan probably would have got more votes too if he didn't go to war with the Groypers. Like I said, that was like a big tactical error that he made that he should not have. You know, the people who are gonna door knock for you if you're Dan Bilzerian are Groypers. Duh. Hey Dan. Bad move. Bad move. I know you love Casey Poosh, but you don't have to. You don't have to. In politics, you got to be a little Machiavellian. You know, you can't be that honest. He was funded by Muslims. That's true. Yeah, a bunch of Muslims, and you know, obviously, I'm not a fan of Muslims, but I am a fan of raging anti-Semites getting elected. Meet the California State Assembly Chief of Staff in Sacramento. He printed and handed out, Nick Shirley has a small penis, prove me wrong.
I can do the same thing, Nick. What does that do for you? Mia Bonta, do you think her creating a bill that
would make it basically illegal, give someone a $4,000 fine for looking into immigration support service providers.
Did you guys hear that Nick Shirley has a small penis, allegedly?
Wow, that's so adult of you.
Did you hear about this? Nick Shirley allegedly has a small penis. Well, I don't know. This is what they're reporting.
Dude, if this was me, the second a guy pulls up talking like that, I'm like, do you really talk like that, or are you just pretending to be a fag? You know, right out the gate.
Have you seen this?
Well, the reports are wrong.
Is that real? Do you actually sound like that?
Well, we don't know. Prove me wrong.
No, I'm not. I don't do that.
Prove me wrong.
And then he starts saying, "Prove me wrong." I'd be like, "Yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you? I bet you'd love to get a look at my dick. You'd probably try to start sucking it, you Fruit Loop."
Oh, it was good enough for Charlie Kirk. Prove me wrong.
You don't want to do that.
Well, if you consent.
I mean, we are in California. They do support pedophiles.
I think you're over 18. So there are news reports happening that Nick Shirley has a small penis. Do you have any comment on Nick Shirley's allegedly small
comes
penis?
out here.
Alleged small penis.
It's risky for him to be out here. He could be banned or criminalized. You know.
Exactly.
So,
I don't think there's having a small penis. Is that a criminal? Are you going to introduce that legislation, Assembly member?
Hey, sir, well, to look at your penis, you'd have to lift up your fat to even look at it. So
I'm out,
you should work on that before you allege somebody else about their own penis.
Hey, gentlemen, have you guys heard these public reports? Nick Shirley allegedly has a small penis. There's an investigation going on, if you like. There you go. Thank you so much.
I'm doing just fine. To see yours, you have to literally lift up a flab of fat to look at yours.
I don't know what you're talking about, Nick.
You literally have to go like this to tuck your tummy and look at your own
I
penis.
appreciate.
It's a grown man.
I mean, I don't have. I'm not. There people aren't reporting on me having a small dick. Like I don't have any reports, but
I don't think anyone would ever make a report on you. Period.
I mean, and now, who is this man that would come out and put such a false statement on a paper to put all around Sacramento? Well, his name's actually Terry, and Terry is the chief of staff of the California State Assembly. So this man is the chief of staff of the entire Assembly of California, and this is what he's doing with his time.
Oh yeah, you can get a photo. See, people love me. People don't know who you are.
You want a flyer?
Do you want to take the photo?
No, I'm gonna.
This is a beautiful lady right here, sir.
Thank you.
See, we're not being hostile.
Okay.
You don't get to touch my thing, sir.
Who has it now?
Steal my thing. That actually is a
Oh, Nick Shirley, I didn't know he had it in him.
crime.
Come on.
Thank you. You can't steal
Come
my
on.
stuff.
Come and get it, fat boy.
I'm making you work out so people can actually see your penis.
Nick. I know, because all the blood's flowing into your arms. It's not flowing into your incredibly allegedly.
Dude, I gotta get into man on the street stuff. I would have good banter. I'd probably get into a fight or two, but it'd be worth it for the content. I would have way better banter with this guy than Nick Shirley has.
Nick, you don't get to touch that. It's not yours.
Hey, she wants.
I can do the same thing, Nick. What does that do for you?
You can't get it though.
Why not do any? I just have never liked the logistics of it. You need a camera. You kind of need a cameraman, which is already like, it's just a lot. It's a lot logistically. You need special gear that I don't have, but I do like the idea of doing it.
Nick, Sergeant, I need my.
Sometimes I'll be driving by like some retards protesting and I'll think how much fun it would be to go interview them.
Here, let's get a photo. You want your photo? Look at all of the papers this guy made. He's going to put these all around Sacramento. Look.
Mark Dice does follow me, but like I invited him on the progress report and he said he doesn't do shows. He's like, I don't do shows. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, unfortunately, it sounds like the hair transplant is off the table since we got denied our fees. Oh God. I was really hoping. I wouldn't say I was counting on it, but I was really hoping. We need a new car. We got a shitty car that's falling apart and we need a new one. I was really hoping for that $40K. I was actually like the hair transplant thing. That's always been kind of a meme, and even in so much as I was somewhat considering it, I'm pretty much over it. I think I got to try the bald look first. I have to at least try the shaved head, the fully shaved, and see how that feels for a while. Because I think I would look okay like that.
Look at this. Look at this.
Is it part of having an allegedly small penis that you feel the need to steal?
No. You just put it in my face so I grabbed it.
Yeah, no, I'm still getting the jacket from Drive. I still need that.
Look, you want to grab it back?
The scorpion jacket.
It's putting a small penis. I do want it back, please.
I know he is breathing cardio. This is California politics. This is hilarious. See, people love me. No way he gets in a Tesla. No way. No way you get in a Tesla. He probably doesn't like Elon Musk. Look at him. Absolute clown. He likes.
Okay. Last thing. This guy, Mike Caruso, who filed an anti-Semitism bill in Florida, making anti-Semitic messages a felony. Enough is enough. Mike Caruso files bill making hate acts, anti-Semitic messages a felony. If we don't do something now, then soon we may just have 1933 Nazi Germany here all over again. And he's arrested for child sex crimes. Mike Caruso, the suspended Palm Beach County Clerk of Courts, makes his first appearance in court at the Criminal Justice Complex in Palm Beach, Florida. Caruso was arrested Tuesday on charges linked to the child sexual abuse of a family member, according to his arrest affidavit. So, apparently this guy's not Jewish, but he is a typical good goy puppet working for the Jews when they know they've got pedo stuff on him. And like this tweet, though, I was like, this tweet's going to do numbers. Look at this. 4 comments, 178 likes. What happened to all the anti-Semites on Twitter? This should have been a big tweet. But instead, you got a tweet about how Israel killed Charlie Kirk. You can only do low IQ anti-Semitism. You can't do actual, real, look at this anti-Semite and he's a pedophile. That just doesn't cut it anymore. Worried about 1933 Nazis, acts like an 1928 Jew. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's the show. Thank you guys for watching and supporting. We'll be back tomorrow with $5 Media Friday. You guys have a good day. I will catch you on the flip side. Peace out.